You've probably heard the name Obi Cubana. He's the businessman, the socialite, the guy who seems to be everywhere. But his story? Well, it's so much more than just a few headlines. It's really a masterclass in what wealth and influence look like in Nigeria today.
So, what was the moment that took him from a well known name to a global phenomenon? It wasn't a business deal, it wasn't a new club. It was a funeral for his mother, Ezine Uche Iyiegbu, that just completely took over the internet. And that brings us to the central question of this whole story.
All right, so let's start right there with the event that put Obi Cubana on the map for millions of people around the world. I mean, just try to wrap your head around the sheer scale of this. We're talking more than 346 cows gifted by friends, a custom diamond pendant to honor his mother that cost $100,000, and of course, the now famous videos of guests just spraying huge bundles of cash. This wasn't just a funeral, it was a full-blown cultural moment attended by pretty much all of Nigeria's young elite.
So, you're probably wondering, why all this? Well, in his own words, Obi explained it perfectly. He said that he and his siblings had promised their mom a carnival for her 80th birthday that the world had never seen. Since she passed away before she hit 80, they decided to pour all of that love, all of that planning into her burial. They were going to give her that celebration, one way or another.
But a spectacle like that, it doesn't just come out of nowhere. To really understand the man who could pull it off, we have to go back. I mean, way back. Before the fame, before the empire, to the story of how he made his very first million. And this is where the story gets really fascinating. You look on one side and you see his roots. Born in a small town, his parents were educators, a principal and a headmistress. He went to university, got a degree in political science. Then you look at the other side, the king of nightlife, the guy famous for a multi-million-dollar funeral. The big question is, how on earth did he get from point A to point B? While his big break happened right after he graduated, he was doing his mandatory youth service in Abuja and started hustling on the side as an estate agent. He managed to land a contract to furnish a house. He did a fantastic job, and from that, he made a profit of 600,000 naira. But get this, the client was so blown away by the work that he gave him a bonus of 500,000 naira. And just like that, with that one deal, Obi Cubana had made his first 1.1 million. The journey had begun. So that first million, that was the seed. From there, he started planting, building, and growing what we now know as the Cubana Empire. And you can really see the strategy play out on this timeline. He starts with one club in 2006. By 2009, he officially forms the Cubana Group. But just look at what's happened in the last few years. He's jumped into beverages, into e-hailing and transportation, and even into tech. This is a guy who didn't just want to own a few clubs, he wanted to build a whole lifestyle conglomerate. Now, his core business, his bread and butter, is still hospitality. And this just gives you a little taste of his footprint. We're talking major venues in the biggest cities, Abuja, Lagos, Owerri, Enugu. The Cubana name has become synonymous with luxury entertainment all across the country. But like I said, he didn't stop there. Not even close. He's into real estate. He launched a massively successful line of beverages. He's an icon for Samsung. He started an e-hailing service. He's even in the distribution game. It's such a savvy move, right? He's diversifying his portfolio, tapping into all these different parts of the economy. It's a masterclass in building a resilient business. Okay, so we've seen the empire. We've seen the strategy. But what about the man himself? To really get the full picture, you have to look at his wealth, his family, and the way he uses his influence. So how much is he actually worth? Well, good luck getting a straight answer. The public estimates are just all over the place. Some say $96 million. Others go as high as $600 million. We don't have an official number, but the fact that the guesses are that massive just goes to show you how huge his financial impact is perceived to be. But amid all the business, all the noise, and all the attention, family is clearly his anchor. He's been married to his wife, Abele, who's a lawyer since way back in 2008. They've got 4 sons together. And, this provides such a grounding contrast to that high-flying public image. And here's a side of him that maybe doesn't get as much attention, his philanthropy. Through foundations and his own personal projects, he's building housing for those in need, he's sponsoring education, and he's donating to hospitals and disaster relief efforts. It's a really crucial piece of his story.
So when you put it all together, the viral funeral, the humble beginnings, the massive business empire, the family man, the philanthropist, what does it all add up to? What is the Obi Cubana legacy really about? He has this really simple philosophy he shares. When people ask him for the secret, for the shortcut, what he calls the soap, he tells them there isn't one. He says you have to make your own soap. How? Through hard work, through prayer, and through just being a good person to others. Simple as that. It's all about integrity and consistency. And really, that's what his legacy is shaping up to be. One of inspiration. He's become the symbol of what's possible. A guy who showed that with grit, with vision, you can turn challenges into opportunities and build something massive. He's become a genuine role model for a whole generation of young Nigerians. And so I'll leave you with this final thought. Is the story of Obi Cubana a simple, straightforward blueprint for how to succeed in the modern world? Or is it something a bit more complicated? Maybe a reflection of a culture's complex, sometimes controversial, and always fascinating relationship with wealth itself. Now, that is something to think about.